Hey homeschool friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video. I'm going to be talking all about our enrichment school experience. So when I say enrichment school, what I mean is our publicly funded program that I drop off the kids for like 6 hours. They have teachers, they have classmates, they rotate classes, and they do all the enrichment subjects. So you're talking messy art, you're talking robotics, musical theater, taekwondo, all the fun stuff. I'm going to be chatting about in today's video because I get a lot of questions about this. I get questions about how did I find these programs. So we're going to chat through like how did I find our program, what is entailed in the program, what are some pros and cons, how does it compare to like co-ops or nature school, things like that. I'm going to be chatting about in today's video. So stay tuned if this is a topic that interests you because I love our enrichment school. I am so very thankful for it. So let's just hop into all the fun things about enrichment school. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. So like I mentioned in my last video, the one where I was talking about our schedule, we have enrichment school on Fridays. So I drop off the kids at 9 o'clock and I pick them up at 3 o'clock and they get to pick all of their classes, which I will get into in a second. But first off, why enrichment school? And the main reason that drove this decision for myself and my husband was the desire for my kids to have some of that experience with having a teacher, with having classmates, with being able to switch classes and things like that. So yes, definitely socialization, but also the general exposure to kind of the school life and the school system that isn't just a homeschool. Although I'm very passionate about homeschool, but I also saw the need for them to have some of those basic skills, if you will. So the first thing I do want to talk about is like, how do you find enrichment programs? Because I think that's the question I get the most whenever I chat about our enrichment program on like monthly update videos or curriculum videos, is I get the question of like, how do you find these programs? How did you even know this program existed? Well, for me, I live in Colorado. So what I did is I literally looked up Colorado homeschool resources or Colorado homeschool programs. And then I found on the Colorado Department of Education a list of programs in my area, a list of programs, which I'm just showing you kind of what I found. And it has like homeschool options or enrichment programs. And yes, I am very thankful to live in a place that has so many great options. You can see here. And what I did that first year is I literally clicked on every single one of these. I clicked on every single one and I saw the different options. Like some were only like K through 3, others were K through 12, and some are more of an umbrella school. Some were not an umbrella school, but actually a drop-off program. And then there was like support groups and resources. So for me and my family, this was where I started. And then I literally just spent a couple hours and I made a big chart for myself and I tried to figure out what would work best for my family. And we found our enrichment program and we've stuck with it. It's been the one that we have used for the past 4 years. I know their teachers, I know their principal. We are very connected into this program and it has been wonderful. It's been wonderful for my kids. I feel like they not only look forward to fun school, which we call it, but also just the stability and consistency of some of their teachers has been really impactful for them. So that's really how I found it. I feel like that's kind of the best place to look if you are looking for a officially funded program type thing, not like a co-op or nature school or other things like that, which I'll talk about at the end of the video as to my thoughts on that and comparing it to an enrichment school. But this is where I found our enrichment school. The next thing I want to spend a little time on is pros and cons. Pros and cons of signing your kids up for programs like this. Now, I'll let you know off the bat, there are a lot more pros than cons for me. But every family is different and every family's needs are different. Every family's structure and situation is different. So for us, the reasons that really drew us were some of the ones I've been talking about, but I'll just start with kind of the obvious one is socialization. So I like that my kids have kind of a full day with the same people. And I like that they're able to have friends in classes that they've had friends in for the past couple years. So it's not like there's one group of kids that travel together. It's not like they've always been in the same class. They pick and choose 6 different classes each semester. And so there's a rotating group of kids, but it is a pretty small school. It's not a ton of kids. I mean, there's a decent amount, but it's K through 6 is the enrichment program we're using. And so it can feel like a little cafeteria when we do like open house events and things like that. So there's a decent amount of kids, but they're pretty consistent. And so my kids will see their same friends in a variety of classes, especially when they're interested in certain things. Like my oldest is more interested in technology, robotics, things like that. So he often has the same kids in his class. And that's really cool because I feel like the consistency of some of those friendships is important. Now, this year we're going to try and focus more on seeing some of those kids maybe outside of enrichment school, like setting up some times for them to get together and maybe go meet at the pool or meet at a park, whatever it is, just to see some of these friends outside of school might result in like deeper friendships. But I like that it is an outlet for my kids outside of church and outside of sports, that is a consistent set of kids, but also a consistent set of adults. That's also part of socialization, right? It's not just that they're friends with their peers, but they're able to have these relationships with consistent adults. And some of the teachers at our program have been there the entire 4 years that my son has been going to this school. And so it's been fantastic. He is able to talk with these teachers. He's able to bring issues or problems, and it's more of a mentor kind of situation because, like, for instance, one of his teachers taught him coding and like Scratch Lab and things like that, and now he does it at home. And so when he has a question, he just goes to his teacher at school and he's like, can you show me how to do this, because my mom does not know how to code, and so it's like he has some extra people he can go to. So I consider that all under the umbrella of socialization. But also those teachers are another authority figure. And I feel like you homeschool moms relate with this because we're both mom and teacher. It's nice to be able to share some of that authority with another person so we can practice the respect. We can practice what it looks like to listen to your teachers and to not goof off, to really show them respect, like I said. And so I like having additional authority figures for my children to work on these skills with, for them to understand kind of these social expectations and social norms, because they're going to be going off and starting work and all these things later in life. And just to have that where there's more than just mom acting as an authority figure matters to me. And so they get to practice that in another way here. I mean, they also have coaches. They're like Sunday school teachers and things like that. So there's other avenues for this, but this is a big one. This is a really big one. And that helps me a bit, like during our day-to-day homeschool, right? Our Monday through Thursday homeschool, because I can be like, would you act like this with Miss So-and-so? And they'd be like, no. And it's like, well, then I need you to show me as much respect as you show them. And I know it's different. I am also mom. So I can I hold that loosely, but it does give me a good reference, and it gives them a good reference for like, that's right. I wouldn't do this at our enrichment school. All right, the next huge pro to me is the class selection. You guys, some of these courses just sound so cool. They have all sorts of science courses, and a lot of them are just kind of messy science. So they just work on doing the really fun things that are sometimes hard to do at home. Like we do science experiments, and I'm trying to do that more this year. But some of the things they're able to do at school, like my daughter dissected a cow eyeball last year, and she loved it. She talked about it for ages. She just loves that kind of stuff. She signed up for a class this upcoming year about science fair, so she gets to kind of work through science fair stuff, which I just love. I loved science fair growing up, and so I love that she doesn't miss that because we homeschool. And so what's really nice about having these course selections, whether it be all the technology stuff, is I don't have access to all those programs, and I don't have knowledge of how to teach those programs or robotics or anything like that. And so having teachers that know how to do that is very helpful. But then there's some classes that I literally could not teach myself. Like there's a musical theater class that my daughter loves, and they put on a play every year. So it takes both semesters for them to practice and have lines and have setup crew and all of this stuff. that they're able to do. I could not do that at home. We would have to outsource that, which is not bad. We could outsource that in our community, but I don't have to because it is already part of their drop-off school. Same with choir, same with taekwondo. So some extra sports and some extra just arts and things like that are just built into the enrichment program. And so what I love is it allows me to at home focus on more of the basics, right? Those 4 basics: math, language, arts, science, history. And I do like to provide art and fun stuff in our homeschool, but it isn't a program. It's not like we need to work through lesson 1, lesson 2, or we need to do these things, because I feel like I will get overwhelmed, especially with the age of my kids right now. 4 of them in school, ages 9, 8, 5, and 5. They're just really young, and so it's hard to do some of that stuff. So I love the fact that enrichment school lets them do that, and I don't have to organize it, plan it, collect supplies, all the things. I don't have to. It's off my plate. And so honestly, that might be the biggest pro for me, is that these enrichment subjects are off my plate. But to go on to my last pro is that it's publicly funded, you guys. So this is a program that runs through our school district, and it is publicly funded, but they're all homeschoolers, and it runs kind of like a charter program, so they don't have to follow the public schools by any means. They don't have to put in programs of any kind. They just kind of are a unique program, and so they kind of get to run themselves, but it is publicly funded. And so we don't have to pay extra for this program. I mean, we pay like the school fees and stuff like that, so they can have technology and supplies and whatnot, but we're not paying like a private school tuition in order for them to have this enrichment day. And that is amazing, and that's something that I wouldn't trade for anything, and I know that's not the case in a lot of small towns, more rural locations. We do live in a bigger city, and so I am thankful for these opportunities. And to kind of piggyback off of that, another pro that goes with that is that this is a program that I don't have to be involved in. So like, for instance, a lot of co-ops, in order to have your kids experience all these wonderful things, you also have to be the teacher. And odds are I would be the science teacher because I have a PhD in science. And so I would have to like design a science program for all of these kids in order so that my kids could take all these other classes at a co-op. And that's wonderful. If we did not have this enrichment school option, I would go that direction because I value those other things. I value that socialization. I value having other authority figures enough to have gone that direction, but I don't have to, and I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful that's not something else I have to put on my plate, but it's all taken care of. And so I would say that's my kind of list of pros. The only con I could come up with, the only one I could come up with, is that we are tied to the public school system. Now granted, we can miss some days, there's excused absences, all the things, but we are tied to their calendar a bit. But it really doesn't bug me. It just means that we take spring break during those weeks or whatever it is. Like, we don't have to. I could totally choose to homeschool while our enrichment school is taking a break, but I kind of am tied a bit to their calendar, especially in certain months that they have to take attendance in order to get funding. And so it's like, there's some of those things, but really it's pretty small potatoes in my opinion. Like, I can plan around it. That con nowhere near eclipses all of those pros. So that tells you a little bit more about our enrichment school, maybe a little bit about how to find it. I mean, in comparison to some other types of things that homeschool families can do, like I said, co-ops. Co-ops I would do if I needed to, but co-ops tend to be run by the families or run by the homeschool moms. Unless you're doing like more of a classical conversations where that is a full-on program itself, but yet it's not cheap. And that kind of seems like an in-between because it's also run by the parents, but some of those parents do get like the kickbacks and all that stuff. But you have to participate. It's not like there is a staff. There's not a staff of teachers. It is still moms that are doing their best and following the curriculum and doing an awesome job, I'm sure. So that kind of feels like an in-between, a co-op and an enrichment school. And so those programs can be really awesome. I'm not sure how to find those, honestly, because we never have had to. I also know that people can start co-ops. You can kind of have a small co-op if you have enough friends that are also doing homeschool. You could do stuff like that. I mean, there are other programs, like there are programs like Nature School, which are actual schools that, and I feel like those again are like tuition based. You pay for your child to be dropped off and do all these amazing things in nature. I think those programs are really cool. And so there's options. That's kind of what I wanted to end this video with, is like, if you are interested in adding to your kind of base homeschool curriculum in ways that add on socialization, additional authority figures, just exposure to subjects that you can't do in your homeschool, these are good options. I do recommend trying to look to see if you have an enrichment school type option, because it really is the best of all worlds. But if you do live more rural or in a smaller town, you might not have this amazing resource, but I guarantee you have something. I really hope you have something, because I feel like it is nice to be able to do homeschool with other families. It's nice to have the community, not just for the kids, but for myself, and to know I'm not alone in this, because homeschooling can feel kind of lonely. It just takes these kinds of things that can help out a lot, actually. And so I hope this was helpful. I hope it was encouraging. I hope it made you think that maybe I should look for something, because you might still be able to sign up for it this year. It's still the start of school. And so I hope this has encouraged you. If it has, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to. And otherwise, you guys, I'll see you in the next homeschool video. All right, take care.